Hello and welcome to Vitality Women Leading Audaciously. Today, our honored guest is Beth Romanowski. She is the founder and chief visionary officer of the Bench Project, and I'm so excited to welcome her today from Pennsylvania. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Helene. It's so great to be here. And, I always love to get together with other women and talk because I always find that we are so much more similar than we are different.
Yeah.
And you know what? I loved your introduction about how stories connect us because the Bench Project is really all about that, stories and connections. So it's very relevant.
Yeah, how did you come to find, this path for yourself and create it? I'd love to learn more about your story as it led up to that.
So how that Bench Project actually came about was back in 2013. My husband and I were married 20 years, and we originally had gotten married in Hawaii. And we always said, 20 years, we're going back, we're going to take the family. And, 20 years came, and the kids were in college. Lily was in school. My husband was working. We literally couldn't get out of our own way. And I think a lot of people can relate to that. So we didn't go, but that didn't stop me. We live on a farm in northeastern Pennsylvania, and we have 110 acres, and we have a 3-mile walking path around the farm. We would frequently walk, and so often I would say, this would be a great place for a bench, because whether it was at the top of a hill and you really just needed to sit and rest, or it was overlooking the farm or down by the pond, there were just so many great locations. So I decided that we would put 20 benches out on the farm, one for every year we were married.
Oh,
and
really
so we
sweet.
did that. And, I'm very much about repurposing and recycling. So I got some at yard sales. People gave them to me. Some we bought new, but they all kind of have their own little story. And after I placed them, I had recently gotten into journaling, and I thought, you know what? I think I want to put a journal and a pen on each bench because, I was getting to the age where I was thinking about legacy and how will I really be remembered? So I did that. I put a journal and a pen in a weatherproof bag with some colored pencils on each bench. And then I sat and I told the story in the beginning of each journal, why I did this, why I picked this spot. And then I wrote how I felt, giving permission for anyone that would sit to do the same. So whether you're writing something that's beautiful and inspiring or something heavy that you need to stop carrying, either way, it felt good to leave it at the bench. So that's really how the original Bench Project started, but then it evolved.
Such a beautiful story in honoring your relationship and in a therapeutic expression, it sounds as well, of the stories. I'm sure things came out that surprised you in those stories.
For sure. For sure. Yeah. So what happened actually, 5 years passed, and really I was doing most of the writing. Sometimes we live on a farm, so we live in the country, neighbors would cross over, our family would walk. But up until then, the journals weren't really written in very much. But then 2018 came. And like a lot of people, we really had a rough year. My husband got sick and did not deal with it well at all. We lost a grandchild. Literally, our family fell apart as a couple and as a family. And I found myself outside on these benches every day. Some days I would just sit, some days I would write, some days I would read where I was. And I was like, wow, I've made progress. So they were so therapeutic and so healing for me that at that point I realized this needs to be beyond the farm. This literally needs to be in the world. So then we come along with COVID and everything shuts down.
Yeah.
We're so disconnected. We have isolation. We're wearing masks. Either anxiety, depression, suicide are like at an all-time high. And I thought people need connection. They need to know that someone else is walking in their shoes too. So that's when we decided to make the bench tag. So this tag can actually be connected to any bench anywhere in the world, not just a bench project bench. And it has a unique QR code on it. So when you scan it, it brings the journal up for that specific bench. You can sit and read what other people have written or taken a picture or a video. And then you can also share your words or your story.
Oh, that is so
Connection
beautiful.
makes us whole. And,
Connection makes us whole.
there's, yes, yes.
And so you created like the technological solution, it sounds like. And so anyone, anywhere in, is it just Pennsylvania or are they all over? You can have
They're
it
all
anywhere.
over.
I could be here in California
Anywhere.
and do, I could
Yeah.
do it in Switzerland. You could do one anywhere.
Yes.
And so it's digitized. So my writing on this bench could be seen by anybody.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So right now we're in 30 states. We'd love to be international. That's coming, I'm sure. But yeah, so we're in 30 states. And when I think about like where the benches should be, bench project benches or even existing benches, I think about tough locations like rehab centers, hospice units, cemeteries, universities, airports, places where people find stress and struggle, and knowing that someone else has walked in your shoes can make all the difference. But also in beautiful locations like national parks, ocean vistas, Disneyland, where emotions and experiences both run deep.
That's so beautiful because sometimes I see a bench and I say, oh my goodness, if that bench could talk. Because the stories of the things that have happened, the people that maybe have slept there, the tears that have been shed, the hard conversations that have been had. Because in movies and even in real life, I remember my mom and I grew up outside of Washington, D.C. We used to go to the mall, and that's the mall, folks, not where you shop, but where Smithsonian, the Washington Monument, that mall. And we would just sit and talk for hours about people, and different people would sit down and talk to us. And it was just like the way we used to spend days sometimes, is just on the bench in a special place, connecting with
Yeah.
people.
I think you're really right. And when I think the same thing. When I think about a bench, I think about a simpler time.
Yeah.
It's a time when people had time to sit. And then again, just like you said, oh, if the benches had ears, because, there's a lot of, contemplation that happens, reflection, thinking, and yeah, there's solace in that. So yeah, it's really a mission to get us back to a simpler time and get back into nature too. That's really what makes us different than anyone else, I think, is really our connection to nature. Because my tagline is get outside to go inside and come sit with us. So, people getting outside your situation, like whether it's your home, your office, your job, but when you can get out into nature, into a green space of any kind, there's a shift that happens. I mean, the statistics that show, how nature is so healing for us, it's incredible. It lowers your cortisol levels. It decreases your heart rate. It lowers your stress, increases your immune system. The benefits are really amazing and so profound, but it's getting people out there to sit in nature that's really important.
Completely. I couldn't agree more. I've been talking about this and teaching about this for years and years and years, because there's just no more powerful force than actually just being in nature. It has to do with the mycelium, come to find out, the fractals, the ultraviolet light, the infrared light. Like, there's so many factors that we as humans absolutely need.
Yes.
I saw something my daughter sent me, and it was a little video, I think, from Instagram, and it said there was a phone on it with a line through it, and it said, don't let your phone take you away from your purpose, with a young child kind of walking away from that sign.
Yeah.
And it was really powerful because you have children and grandchildren, so you see it too. I mean, it's almost a challenge to get them to go outside. Some, not all, but
Yep.
it's a new generation that I don't know that I can even wrap my head around what that's going to be like. But I know that nature heals, and all things in nature heal, and it's the best teacher that I know as well. So I just love your mission. Thank you for the work you're doing in your heart and the healing that you want to
Thank
share,
you.
that you're sharing.
Mm-hmm.
I can think of a few benches I'd like to put on the map. Actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, like in Northern California, in San Francisco, like there's a lot of really awesome benches that
Yeah.
deserve a tag.
Yeah. There actually are like pretty four different components to the bench project at this point. And the one that we're talking about here is really the community bench. And that's where, you can go to our the benchproject.net website and shop and choose a bench. We have ones that are like real park benches, and you have the ability to, write something on the second board, whether it's in memory or a dedication or even just a quote in honor of a good human. So that's really the community part. But then there is the family bench. So, I have such a connection and such a love for family that I really believe like having a backyard bench would be so, so beneficial to so many families because, connection starts there. If you can teach your kids that, hey, maybe they had a bad day at school and they come home and you could say, hey, go sit out on the bench, and they can sit there and they can draw something or they can write. And it's just shows them a really positive way to process their emotions. And then also realize the connection their family has. Like maybe mom was out there the day before and she wrote, gosh, I had a bad day, but I feel better that I'm sitting out here. So it's that connection that's priceless. So that's the second part. The third one is really starts at a wedding. So you and your significant other, instead of getting a photo booth, you could have a love bench. And it's this beautiful bench we have that has love scripted along the back. And you have a tag that is personalized just for you, probably mimicking your invitation, maybe. And then all of your guests can sit on the bench and scan the tag and send memory, well wishes, maybe a picture or a video, because the story of you or us, we say, the story of us includes you at the wedding. And then they take that bench home and they put it in their yard and it becomes their backyard bench. And it's like a time capsule for their family to just continue to add to.
That
And
is
then we
such a
are a
beautiful idea.
501c3.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yes. So
That's so
we are a
beautiful.
501c3 as well.
Yeah.
So donate a bench fund is a huge part of our mission. So people can just call in or write in and say, you know what? I'd love to have a bench here. I can't afford it, but I'd love to talk to you about that. And we've done that multiple times. So we have a lot of benches that we've donated for people.
That's so beautiful. What a gorgeous concept, taking something that's so meaningful and really broadening it. Thank you for describing all of those unique opportunities to share
Yes.
and care and to go inside.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that I'm realizing these days is that there's so much coming at us that we're not able to actually integrate unless we take some time away. Of course, I'm interested in vitality. I'm interested in health. So I'm thinking a lot about food and how we absorb that food, right? We're not what we eat. We are what we absorb.
Mm-hmm.
And when we think about our emotions and kind of all the other stuff that's happening in our lives that take up a lot of space and influence also our health and vitality, I think about um, the happiness and barometer of joy is also determined by how well we integrate. And I think that when we spend time out in nature, walking or sitting or even writing in nature, that we have a much higher probability of having more integration in that emotional state. And I think that's a huge component of vitality. For those of you who can't see her, Beth is gorgeous. Like she's just so beautiful. And
Thank
she
you.
definitely has vitality. Married 30 years. Is that right?
Yep.
Wow. And your husband recovered. He's doing okay now.
Yep, he's doing okay, and we're all back, and thank God for time and forgiveness and communication. So important, and that's the other thing with journaling. A lot of people think, "Wow, I'm just writing," but the value that you get in expressing yourself when you really start to journal, it shows in your conversations because suddenly, you're sharing your feelings in a book, but then when you go to have a conversation with someone, you're conversing differently because you're comfortable with those thoughts. So it's
Right.
really
You've worked them out, so to say.
you
You've
worked them out.
integrated them. Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, people have been telling me for years to write, and I just haven't seen the value. So I really appreciate you articulating that exactly the way you did, because that's a huge value.
Yes.
I think it's the highest form of thought, they say, is the analytical, or the not even analytical, but the writing of what's happening in your internal world is considered the highest form of thought. Do you
Mhm.
agree with that?
I totally agree. Totally agree. And there are, I mean, the benefits of journaling, like I said, not just the communication, but it actually also improves your memory. Because if you think about it, when you write something down, whether it's a goal or a list, it's kind of in your brain to say, okay, I'm going to remember that. But it's also a great way to, I think, increase your self esteem and allow you to see progress. Because when you can go back and go, wow, that was a dark day, but look where I am. I've really gotten through that. The benefits really are huge. So journaling is great. Getting outside is even better.
Yeah, if you've never been, those of you who are listening, to Pennsylvania, where she is, Western, you said Western Pennsylvania?
Eastern.
Eastern Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
I mean, whether you're in the East or the West, it is spectacular. I mean,
Yes.
like lush, deep, rich greens and
Yes.
abundant foliage. It's probably just at the end right now of the colors, right? It must be.
It is. It is. And what we actually do, most every weekend, we open the farm up to the community.
Oh,
So we will have walks on Saturday or Sunday, some guided walks, because a lot of times people don't want to walk alone. Some when they just want to go out in the woods, and they walk the 3 miles and write in the journals and spend, some people speed through, some people are here 3 or 4 hours walking. And it's really a great way for us to connect with the community. And we always do the walks for a local 501c3 as well, whether it's Blue Chip, which is like a dog rescue. We have Fork Over Love, which is feeding our neighbors, all kinds of organizations. So people come in on, and donate a small amount for them. And
nice.
so we're giving back there too.
Nice. And then there's an opportunity for those of you who are listening to get a journal, if that I understand correctly. But it's a very specific kind of journal. Would you share with us what that is about?
Yes. So if you go to our website, thebenchproject.net, there'll be a spot where you can just click on add your email address, and we will actually send you 30 days of journaling in nature prompts. So this is a good way for you to kind of get started with journaling, because a lot of times getting started is the hardest part. You're like, what am I going to write? So if you have this prompt that you can just go out, sit outside, even if you sit on your front porch or on your deck or go to the park, and it's a great way to get started but connect to nature at the same time, and that's free. So I'd love to see you jump on the website, and we'll send that out to you.
Yeah, I think I love that idea of the prompts. I actually have so much I want to write, and then there does come to a moment where I have to move on, and I'd like to create a practice. So I'd love to sign up myself for this, because I do see the value in it, in self-reflection and self-actualization, and just there's so much that happens in a day.
Yes.
I mean, it's
Yes.
just unbelievable. I don't know if it's this time, or I don't know if it's me. I don't know. Maybe it's you too, but like it's so much. There's so much intensity, and it just doesn't seem to be letting up, which is okay. It's just that
Mhm.
I think journaling would be a great way to do that integration that I was just talking about.
Yeah. When you're talking about time, I always say, time is currency
Yeah. Hmm.
for us, so not everyone is given the gift of old age. And I'm really prompted to use my time wisely. And I think the older you get, that happens more. But there are definitely people living intentionally every day, regardless of their age. But yeah, so time is currency.
It really is. And the quality of how you spend it, and
Yes.
the quality of your being inside of it, really determines your life, doesn't
Hmm.
it? I mean,
Hmm.
how, if it's happy or sad or stressful or healthy. So how do you maintain your vitality? What are some of the things that you do, practices and rituals, so to say, that you do to maintain your vitality?
Well, journaling, obviously, and meditation, quieting, sitting quietly. Um, I think that's probably one of the biggest parts for me, because I always say, for me and for other women mostly, you have to fill your own cup first. You can't give what you don't have. I love Wayne Dyer, and he always said that you can't give what you don't have. So, fill your cup, let it overflow into all the people that you love in your life. And that's probably the best advice I could give, not just to myself, but to other people. But we like to have fun too. My husband and I are getting to the age of retirement. So not that we're ever going to retire. That's just it. I like people say you're going to retire, and I'm like, how could I do that? Like do nothing? No. I mean, my life has really been service forever. I'm a registered nurse. So, it's always been about taking care of people somehow. And I think I'll always do that. But we do like to travel. So we just recently got a Revel minivan, like a little traveling van. Yeah, it's about the size of an Amazon van, but it's cute. And so we'd like to do that. And, we like to hike. We do like craft beers. So whenever we stop in a new town, we look for a brewery and try a beer. But I like crafting things too. Wintertime makes us, I think, get that nesting. So I'm always wanting to like crochet or knit for a couple months, especially in the Northeast.
That is so sweet. I tend to want to make soups. I'm like the soup making machine, for
Yes.
sure. But I love that you have these things that you enjoy with your husband, that you share some alone for restoring yourself, and also some things together that restore you. Everyone is so different in what brings them back their vitality. Another question that I love to ask our guests is really, when you're feeling low, like really exhausted, what is your go-to? Is it a nap? Is it meditation? Is it, I don't know. I'm just curious.
I would say it's activity. It's getting outside and moving, walking. So whether it's just a quick walk around the house, like we have a large driveway, or it's walking out to one of the benches and just sitting. I think the physical activity for me is what kind of makes the shift from.
Totally. Yeah. I can really relate to that. I mean, 1000%. Yeah.
Yes.
But not everyone can. And it seems kind of counterintuitive, especially if you're feeling sad. And that's, but like, if I'm angry, the kitchen is going to be spotless.
Yes.
I'm going to be just like cleaning. It just, I don't know. I can't stop moving when I get like frustrated and angry. But when I'm sad, I think that the only way I can break through, I shouldn't say only, but the best, most efficient way I break through is through movement too.
Yes.
And I think that oftentimes I ask that question because a lot of women don't give themselves permission. They're judging themselves about how they should be, it should look, or what they should be doing. So I really love to have you all share that. So thank you.
Yes.
So any last words of wisdom? You've given us so many so far, but any last words of wisdom you'd like to leave our listeners today?
I think, again, just, to really take care of yourself, because it's not selfish at all to take care of yourself first. And, those you love will all benefit, because when you take care of yourself, you're a better mom, wife, human, friend, cousin, daughter, whatever. You show up in a different way. So I think that's important. And then, like I say, our tagline is, get outside to go inside, and come sit with us. And thank you for being part of our story.
So beautiful. Thank you for being here today. And for everyone who's listening, please go to thebenchproject.net and sign up. Well, automatically they'll sign up, right?
Yeah, they'll see the pop-up, and they can just click on it and just put their email address, and we'll forward that those journaling prompts right to them.
I love that. So I'm going to be doing it. So I hope you'll do it with me. And just thank you again for being here.
Thank you.